Chapter 31. Bugs. There is some speculation that the savage assault was launched as part of a vendetta against notorious underworld figure and Mad Dogs FC chairman Sasha Thompson. However, Detective Inspector Robert Hunt, who is heading up the investigation, has emphasized that none of the people attacked had criminal records or any association with Mr. Thompson beyond the football club. The victim, 20-year-old Julian Pogue, was a first-year law student at the University of East Anglia. He'd recently returned home for the Easter holidays and had only been called back into the Mad Dogs team following an injury to a colleague. It is believed that Pogue became separated from his teammates whilst trying to locate his 12-year-old brother. Pogue's family issued a statement asking for privacy and describing their son as a wonderful, caring boy who loved playing football and had a bright future ahead of him. The two other seriously injured men have been named as 53-year-old referee Bert Hogue and opposition goalkeeper Leonard Gocher, 31. School nurse Judith Main was stabbed in the thigh as she tried escaping into nearby woodland with her 18-month-old twins in a double buggy. She was later discharged from hospital, along with 11 others treated for minor injuries and shock. BBC Radio Bedfordshire, Friday the 30th of March, 2007. The care workers in the zoo were supposed to be finding James and Bruce places at a local school, but they were taking their time, and now the schools were about to break up for Easter anyway. James couldn't sleep and spent most of the night with a headphone in his ear, listening to the late-night phone-in and hourly news updates on the radio. By 10 on Friday morning, Bruce was up and showered, but James could see no reason to get up, and he hitched his duvet cover over his face when Bruce opened the curtains to read his latest martial arts magazine. James's phone had melted in the blaze, so Wheels rang Bruce when he wanted to speak. "How's it going?" James asked. "Where were you hiding when the shit went down?" "Well, Sasha yelled at me twice yesterday, so luckily I gave the football a wide berth." "Jammy git," James said. "So do you know anything, except for what I can hear on the radio?" "One of the Slasher Boys' cars got stuck over the back of the playing fields. They torched it themselves before the cops arrived, but a couple of our boys caught up with one of them. The cops were swarming all over, so they couldn't do anything except put a tail on him. They followed him home on the bus and woke him up at 5 this morning with a couple of bricks and petrol bombs." "Top stuff," James said, faking enthusiasm. "So is Sasha planning revenge?" "Not sure," Wheels said. "There's talk about storming the Green Pepper." "You can count me out on that score," James snorted. "That's in the middle of their turf, and there's more of them than there is of us." "Talk's all it is, I reckon," Wheels said. "Sasha's got a brain. He's not going to go charging in like the bloody cavalry. He's going to bide his time, and then he's going to do something that'll turn the Slasher Boys right over." "Exactly," James said. "So, is this just a social call, or what?" "Two things, mate. First off, you mentioned that you had some body armor. Now, I know you're not exactly one of our main guys, but Sasha says everyone should be on the lookout for ambushes. Wear your armor, carry a weapon, and avoid going anywhere on your own. If you're not with me, take your little cousin with you." "Sound sensible?" James said. "And have you got money for a new phone? 'Cause we might have to make some fast moves, and everyone's got to keep in touch." "Sure," James said. "I've still got a bunch of cash from the hotel robbery. I'll go into town later and grab a pay-as-you-go." "Great. The second thing is that Sasha says not to get bogged down in a war. We need to keep the money flowing, which means it's business as usual." "Have we got to go back to that supermarket?" "Nah," Wheels said. The money you got out of the till more than covered what we're owed. And Sasha says the cops were swarming all over. So we'll be leaving it alone for a while. So am I still on for that bit of business with the hard front? You certainly are, Wheels said. It's miles from the nearest slasher boys. But things are tense, so I'd bring your cousin along. Savas has got all of the surveillance equipment you need and a set of keys for the flat. He's going to swing by with it later. What about directions? James asked. Ask Savas. He can't take you up there because he's a known face, but he'll show you on his road atlas or whatever. They missed breakfast, and Savas was late, so James and Bruce stopped off for an early lunch at a Pizza Hut buffet. Chloe had arranged it so that she bumped into them. She gave James a replacement phone and said that another stab-proof sweatshirt was being made on campus and would be ready within 48 hours. She also told the boys that she was worried. The ethics committee weren't going to like it when they heard about the latest outbreak of violence and the death of Julian Pogue. There was a chance they'd pull the mission. James overate and felt bloated as they rode the bus out of Luton and into neighbouring Dunstable. The Rudge estate consisted of 3-storey blocks. Quite a few flats had been purchased and renovated by residents, complete with window boxes and neat gardens, but much of the estate was still a dump, strewn with rubbish, graffiti, and the occasional abandoned car. The hard front faced onto a second-floor balcony, but it was far from the only apartment with a reinforced door and bars up on the windows, so only a nosy neighbour would have figured it was being used by drug dealers. The blocks ran parallel to one another. James and Bruce had the keys to a second-floor flat in the next block along, with the front window directly overlooking the hard front. The previous residents' kids had drawn all over the walls, but nobody had lived there in a while, and the musk of damp and dust knocked Bruce back as he pushed the door open. What a pen and ink, James complained, wafting a hand in front of his face as he kicked the door shut and dumped the large sports bag that Savas had given him on the hallway carpet. Better open the windows to air it out. It was the middle of the day, but James flipped the light switch on and off to make sure the electricity was connected as Bruce walked between rooms, opening windows. "There's a kettle and fridge in here," Bruce yelled. "Maybe we can get some tea and milk in or something." "If you like," James shrugged. "I guess it'll take a while going through the tapes, but I don't fancy spending any longer than I have to in this dump. It'll be okay once it's aired, and it's a bloody sight quieter than the zoo." "I'm not stopping you from moving in," James grinned. "At least I won't have to put up with your snoring." "Yeah, I'm so obnoxious," Bruce sneered. "What about the other night when you kept dropping your guts? My eyes were watering." "It was that dodgy cheese bap Chloe got at the motorway services." As James said this, he unzipped the sports bag and looked at the surveillance equipment. The biggest item was a twin-tape surveillance recorder with "Property of East Midlands Health Trust" etched on top. There were also blank tapes, a bunch of tangled-up leads, a power drill for making holes, and a selection of miniature cameras. "What a bunch of crap," Bruce said. James shrugged. "There's nothing here that would set the campus technical department drooling. But it's enough to get the job done." "Guess you're right," Bruce said, as he pulled some of the wires out. "You work out the best place to put the cameras, and I'll start untangling this lot."